Hi everyone, so today I want to share something special with you. In case you don't know, I have a blog up on Substack. It's called Returning Light, and every week I post there an article about Jewish topics, about Kabbalah and Hassidic and so on. The latest article that I put up there was called Second Innocence, and it was all about the deeper meaning of the month of Elul, the month we're now in. Now, someone took this article and sent it to a couple of podcasters. They loved it, and they made a whole podcast about it. It's less than 10 minutes long, and it beautifully sums up my piece. Here it is for your listening pleasure, and in the end, I'll just pop back in to tell you a little bit more about who these two people are. Enjoy.
Hey there. Ever feel like you're just drowning in a sea of new information, new trends, new must-haves? It can be exhausting. And just when you think you've got a handle on things, bam, something else comes along.
It's true. Our brains are hardwired to crave that novelty, but as you said, it can be a bit much.
Right. Which is why we're diving into this idea of second innocence today. Our source material for this deep dive is secondinnocenceelul.pdf, and it explores this fascinating concept from the Hebrew calendar, the month of Elul, as a time for renewal.
Yeah, Elul. Elul encourages us to kind of hit the reset button, even when we feel like, we've seen and heard it all.
I love that. But the source material dives into this idea of renewal in a really unique way, using the metaphor of virginity. And I have to admit, when I first read that, I wasn't sure what to make of it.
It definitely caught my eye, too. But it's actually quite profound when you really think about it. Think of it this way. We all go through phases in life where we feel a sense of innocence. That, open, curious way of experiencing the world.
Yeah, like starting a new job or learning a new skill. You're eager, maybe a little intimidated, but mostly just excited to dive in.
Exactly. Then as we gain experience, maybe face some setbacks, we become a little more jaded, we lose that initial spark. But second innocence isn't about erasing those experiences or trying to become naive again.
So it's more about regaining that ability to approach things with a fresh perspective, even when we're not brand new to something.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging that we can be both wise and open to new possibilities. Now, the source takes this concept even further by connecting it to the different layers of the soul. It talks about nefesh, ruach, neshama, and chaya.
Okay, I have to admit, when I saw those words, I thought, whoa, this is getting a bit mystical for me. But then I remembered what you always say. You don't need to be a scholar to grasp this stuff.
Absolutely. You're right. It's not about getting lost in complicated terms, right? These are just labels to help us understand the different dimensions within ourselves. Take nefesh, for example.
Yeah.
It's that instinctual, experience-driven part of us.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like that childlike part that's totally captivated by the present moment, always chasing the next exciting thing.
Yes. And it's why we get so caught up in that constant stream of new that we were talking about earlier. But then we have neshama, which the source describes as this inner wise mother, right? This part of us that holds both the wisdom from our experiences and a spark of that original innocence.
So we've got nefesh, that childlike energy, always seeking new experiences, and neshama, the wise part that sees the bigger picture and can approach things with a calmer, more knowing perspective.
You got it. And what's fascinating is that the source connects these two feminine aspects of the soul to two different kinds of renewal that are actually built into the Jewish calendar. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, now you've really got my attention. Tell me more.
You see, the Jewish calendar doesn't just mark time in months.
Okay.
It also recognizes a cycle of years.
Right.
And each of these cycles offers a different kind of renewal connected to those soul layers we were just talking about.
Okay, I'm completely lost now.
Yeah.
But in a good way. It's like we're uncovering these hidden connections between like ancient wisdom and the way our own minds work.
It's pretty amazing, right? So think about Rosh Chodesh, the start of a new month in the Jewish calendar.
Right.
It's all about tapping into that nefesh energy, right? It's a chance to hit the refresh button.
Yeah.
Embrace new beginnings.
Oh, tell me about it. I feel like I need a Rosh Chodesh every other week just to keep up with life.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing the year cycle is a bit different.
You're right on the money.
Okay.
The year culminates in Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year.
Okay.
And this one's less about a quick refresh and more about deep inner transformation. This is where neshama, that wise mother within, really steps in.
So we have daily renewal with nefesh, and then this deeper, more profound transformation with neshama.
Right.
Two feminine aspects of the soul, two different ways of experiencing renewal.
Yeah.
It's like there's this whole other level to the second innocence idea that we haven't even touched on yet.
You're picking up what this source is putting down. It's not just about starting fresh every day.
Right.
Or even every year.
Right.
It's about approaching those new beginnings with the fullness of who we are, our experiences, our wisdom, even our mistakes.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? But maybe with second innocence, it's more like what doesn't kill you makes you wiser.
I like that. It's about integrating those experiences, the good and the bad, into a richer understanding of ourselves and the world around us. And that's where the real magic of Rosh Hashanah comes in.
Okay, you're going to have to explain this one because I'm officially intrigued.
Okay.
How does Rosh Hashanah tie into all of this?
Well, Rosh Hashanah falls right in the middle of the Hebrew calendar's 2 cycles.
Okay.
The months and the years.
Right.
And that's not just a coincidence, right? It's like we're being invited to bring both of those aspects of ourselves, the nefesh and the neshama, to the table.
So it's not just a fresh start. It's a fresh start informed by everything we've learned and experienced up to that point.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how this all connects. But how do we actually do that? How do we access both the nefesh and the neshama, especially during such a busy time of year?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But the source offers a really beautiful suggestion. It points out that Elul, the month leading up to Rosh Hashanah, is traditionally associated with the astrological sign of Virgo.
And Virgo is all about innocence and new beginnings. Right?
Exactly. So even though it's the end of the year,
Yeah.
even though we're often feeling, burnt out and exhausted, we have this cosmic reminder that we still have access to that wellspring of renewal within us.
Okay, I'm loving this idea.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, how do we actually tap into that wellspring?
Yeah.
What are some practical things people can do, especially during Elul?
Well, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay.
The key is intentionality. Elul is a time to slow down, to create space for reflection, and to reconnect with that deeper part of ourselves.
So instead of getting swept up in the end of year craziness, it's about taking a step back and creating space for quiet reflection.
Precisely. It could be as simple as taking a few minutes each day to journal, meditate, or just be in nature.
Right.
Or maybe it's revisiting a hobby you loved but haven't made time for lately.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about finding those little things that help us reconnect with ourselves and approach things with a fresh perspective.
Yes.
Kind of like hitting the reset button on our minds and hearts.
Exactly. It's about bringing that beginner's mind to familiar situations.
Yeah.
Asking ourselves, what if I knew nothing about this? What would I see?
It's interesting. The source also mentions this idea of the virginity of the neshama.
Okay.
And I have to admit, that one really threw me for a loop. I mean, how can something be both wise and experienced, yet still possess a kind of innocence? It does seem like a paradox, right? How can neshama, this wise mother of the soul, also have this quality of virginity?
That's the beauty of this whole concept. You see, the source isn't equating innocence with naivete. It's talking about a quality of openness, a willingness to approach life with fresh eyes, even after we've experienced hardship and disappointment.
So it's not about erasing our past or pretending we haven't been through things, but rather about bringing a sense of curiosity and wonder to the present moment, regardless of what's come before.
Exactly. It's the ability to hold both the wisdom of our experience and that childlike awe, recognizing that there's always more to learn and discover.
This makes me think of those nature documentaries where they show like a seasoned lioness teaching her cubs to hunt.
Yeah.
She's clearly a pro, but there's still this spark of excitement, this focus and intensity that she brings to each hunt.
I love that analogy. And it highlights an important point. This virginity of the neshama isn't something we're born with and then just lose, Yeah. It's something we can cultivate over time.
So how do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we tap into that wellspring of wisdom and wonder, especially as we get older and maybe a little more set in our ways?
The source actually offers a really interesting clue, and it's in the Hebrew language itself. The word for virgin, betula, is actually made up of 2 parts. Bat, which means daughter, and ula, which has the same numerical value as the Hebrew word for mother, em.
Wow, you're blowing my mind right now. So built into the very language itself is this idea that true innocence, this virginity of the neshama, is a combination of like youthful curiosity and mature wisdom.
Precisely. It's about integrating those different parts of ourselves, the daughter's freshness and the mother's knowing, to create a more holistic way of being in the world.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. As we wrap up, is there one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
We've covered a lot of ground today, exploring the concept of second innocence, unpacking these layers of the soul, even taking a crash course in Hebrew linguistics. But at its core, I think this deep dive comes down to a simple invitation: to approach ourselves and the world around us with a renewed sense of curiosity and wonder.
Beautifully said. It's a reminder that no matter how much we think we know, there's always more to discover. And that capacity for wonder, for experiencing life with fresh eyes, that's something we can tap into at any age, at any stage of our journey.
Exactly. And I think that's a truly empowering thought.
I couldn't agree more. So for our listeners out there, we'd love to hear your thoughts. How are you exploring this second innocence in your own life? Maybe it's trying something new, revisiting an old passion, or simply looking at a familiar situation with fresh eyes. Whatever it is, we encourage you to keep diving deep and keep those minds open. Until next time.
So, what did you think? You liked the podcast? Now that you listened to the entire thing, I can reveal the unbelievable truth. The entire podcast you just listened to, from beginning to end, was AI generated. Yes, the two people you listened to don't exist and have never existed. Both the text that they said and their voices were completely generated in about 2 minutes by a new Google AI tool called Notebook. And the image I used for the YouTube video is just some random image bank photo. Completely made up, invented, written, and directed by artificial intelligence. You'll probably hear a lot of these fake podcasts in the near future, as this tool is really now starting to blow up. I don't know what to tell you about this yet. It's completely crazy. It's mind-blowing. But there you have it. AI can now generate pretty convincing podcasts from a written essay, and they can do so in about 2 minutes. I'll probably do a real class sometime soon about AI. Till then, have a great Shabbat or a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next episode. Hi everyone, if you enjoyed this episode, please press like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. If you want more English language videos from me, please consider becoming a supporter via Patreon. You can find the link in the description below. Thank you very much, and see you in the next episode.